For most of human history, stagnant indoor air was understood as dangerous long before germ theory existed. Builders, physicians, and household manuals all agreed on one thing: trapped air weakened the body. Older homes were deliberately designed to move air constantly, even during cold seasons. Windows were positioned opposite each other, ceilings were higher, and vents were left unsealed. This was not accidental or careless construction. It was a health-driven system based on lived experience. Cold air was not seen as the enemy. Stale air was. Winter sickness, respiratory weakness, fevers, and long recovery times were commonly associated with closed, overheated interiors. Opening windows, even briefly, was considered preventative maintenance for the human body. Homes were not sealed boxes. They were breathing structures. Older homes stayed warm without sealing occupants inside. Thick stone walls, timber frames, brick, earth floors, and plaster all acted as thermal mass. These materials absorbed heat from fires and daylight and released it slowly over time. Warmth came from structure, not from suffocation. You know, textiles were layered where people were, not where air needed to circulate. Heavy curtains, bed hangings, wool rugs, and wall tapestries created these warm zones around the body, while still letting air move through the room. This is a critical distinction modern homes have lost, honestly. The goal wasn't to heat the entire volume of air, but rather to keep the human body warm within it. In winter, windows were, well, cracked rather than flung open. The airflow was controlled, steady, and intentional. This allowed moisture to escape while, importantly, preventing drafts from settling at ground level. Moisture control was the real winter battle older builders focused on. Cold alone does not make homes unhealthy. Moisture does. Older builders understood that damp air weakened lungs, stiffened joints, and encouraged rot and mould. Open windows allowed humidity from cooking, breathing, bathing, and fires to escape. Fireplaces, chimneys, and vents worked together to pull air upward and outward. This constant draw prevented condensation from settling into walls and bedding. Dry cold was considered manageable, you know, while damp cold was considered dangerous. Modern sealed homes often feel warmer, but, well, they carry hidden moisture that worsens arthritis, respiratory strain, and sleep quality. Older homes avoided this by default. Air exchange was continuous, even in winter. Historical medical texts consistently recommended sleeping in cool, ventilated rooms. Bedrooms were not overheated. Fresh air was believed to strengthen breathing capacity and improve recovery from illness. This belief came from observation, not theory. People slept under heavy wool, fur, or layered linen while allowing cold air to circulate above and around them. The body stayed warm while the lungs worked in clean, oxygen-rich air. This reduced nighttime coughing, congestion, and headaches. For survivalists today, this matters. Sleep quality directly affects immune strength, decision-making, and physical resilience. Older designs prioritized rest that actually restored the body during winter rather than weakening it. Older homes were not randomly ventilated. Builders studied wind direction, seasonal airflow, and solar movement. Winter winds were often allowed to pass high above living spaces, while lower vents drew in slower, tempered air. South-facing windows captured daylight warmth, you know. North-facing openings were smaller and more controlled. Shutters, thick frames, and deep window recesses allowed airflow without exposing occupants directly to wind. This is passive climate control, something modern builders are only now trying to rediscover. Older homes worked with nature instead of fighting it. Crowded, sealed spaces were breeding grounds for illness. Tuberculosis, influenza, and recurring fevers spread fastest in closed interiors. Open windows diluted airborne pathogens, even when people didn't understand microbes. Hospitals, monasteries, and military barracks all adopted winter ventilation practices. Fresh air wards were, really quite common. Cold was tolerated because, sickness was feared more. This knowledge matters today. Air circulation remains, honestly, one of the most effective ways to reduce respiratory illness indoors. Older homes built this defense directly into daily life. Fireplaces, stoves, and candles consumed oxygen and produced smoke. Without airflow, interiors became toxic quickly. Open windows ensured proper draft and prevented carbon build-up. Chimneys alone were not enough. They relied on incoming air to function, Sealing a room would choke the fire and the occupants. Older homes respected this balance. Even today, anyone using wood stoves, kerosene heaters, or backup fire heat in winter should understand this principle. Airflow is not optional. It is life support. If you live through winter and want to stay warm without weakening your body, you can apply these principles immediately. Instead of sealing your home completely, allow controlled airflow. Crack a window on the opposite side of your heat source to create gentle circulation. Right, so focus insulation around yourself, not the air. Use wool blankets, layered clothing, heavy curtains around sleeping areas, and rugs underfoot. Let the room breathe while your body stays warm. Manage moisture aggressively. Vent kitchens and sleeping areas. If windows fog heavily, your air is too damp. Dry air feels colder at first, but, it preserves heat better over time and protects joints and lungs. Sleep in cooler rooms with proper bedding. This actually mirrors historical practice and, improves recovery, immunity, and sleep depth during winter months. Modern housing, tends to prioritize convenience and energy metrics. But older homes, they focused on human durability. Builders back then assumed cold seasons would really test bodies, so they designed structures that supported long-term health rather than just short-term comfort. Open windows in winter were not, neglect. They were actually discipline. They reflected an understanding that warmth, air, and structure all had to work together. If you're serious about history, preparedness, and, winter survival, this is knowledge worth reclaiming. It's not nostalgia. its functional design, tested across centuries. If this kind of deep, practical history is valuable to you, do consider subscribing to Warfield Prepper Chronicles and share this with others who care about real-world survival wisdom. Like the video, support the channel, and, help keep this knowledge alive where it truly belongs.